Welcome to Salulaw channel. My name is Femi Salu. I am an attorney. I practice law in Mississippi and Tennessee. And today we are going beyond where we practice. We are going to the state of Georgia, where we'll be looking at the trial, the YSL Rico trial, removal of Judge Glanville. And the question many of you are asking is, will young thug beat the rap? With the removal of the trial judge Glanville in the YSL Rico trial, will young thug beat the rap? I do not practice in Georgia. I want you to know that. So what I'm offering is just my own personal opinion. And for those of you that are not familiar with legal matter, to give you an insight in what is happening, let me say this. Young Thug is a Grammy-winning rapper. He's the co-founder of Atlanta-based recording label known as Young Stoner Life Records, which also stands for Young Slime Life. Young Slime Life is an Atlanta-based street gang affiliated with the National Bloods gang. In essence, what they are saying is this Grammy award-winning rapper, record producer, owner, successful, is a gangster. That's essentially what's saying. He is a co-founder of a street gang that has been responsible for a lot of violence in Atlanta, and he needs to be taken off the streets. And with the high rate of crime in the black community, there is that consensus of opinion that a very small number of guys are responsible because of the frequency and the seriousness of the violent crime that they commit, that they are responsible. And it is traditional that if you take away the leaders, the gangbanger leaders, then there will be peace on paper. The Young Thug and 27 others have a 90-page indictment under Georgia's expansive Racketeer, Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. That law, which is a state law, is equivalent to a federal RICO trial, RICO. That's the law that is used to try gangsters, Capone and all the gangsters in the 50s, 40s in the United States. Is the same federal law that the Atlanta state law is patterned after. I want you to remember two important things. One, Young Thug and the other defendants, 27 other defendants, are being prosecuted by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. We all know Fani Willis, right? She's the tough female black prosecutor from Atlanta. She's the same DA and using the same law in the indictment and prosecution of former President Trump and 18 co-defendants. You all remember that in August. That case is in limbo now with several appeals against Fani Willis and all that. But you see that she has a record of using this she has a record of using this same law, this same method to prosecute gangsters and to rid the streets of Atlanta of violence. So the same law that was used against Donald Trump for trying to overthrow the 2020 elections. Now, this time, the Fannie Willis is alleging Young Thug as a co-founder of street gang responsible for violent acts dating back for a decade. Prosecutors are saying YSL, that's the acronym for the artist label, Young Stoner Life Records, YSL, also stands for Young Slime Life. And of course, you should expect in the black community, some are saying black art is being targeted with the prosecution of Young Thug. My personal opinion, I do not think so. The prosecution to get rid of violence in the black community by removing these leaders is led by a black woman. And until recently, the trial is presided over by a black judge, Glanville. So it's not racially motivated. It's not because anyone is trying to get rid of black rappers or target black art. The most affected people are black women in all this gang violence and all that. So they are really concerned. It is coming from a position of extreme sympathy and concern for what is going on in our community. So I do not subscribe to the fact that black art or rap music is being targeted by the prosecution of Young Thug. Now, there has been a new development, which some of you might have read or heard about. Judge Glanville, I admire him. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. Even though I do not practice in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, I admire him. He was recently removed as a trial judge over appeal by the lawyers for Young Thug because he made an ex parte communication with the prosecutor and a major witness known as Kenneth Copeland. Let me say this again. Judge Glanville is brilliant, but he made a mistake. The mistake is this. Once a case is before a court of law, rules of professional and judicial ethics frown. I'm not saying they prohibit it completely. They frown at ex parte or one-sided communication with the judge by either party in either a criminal or civil case. It gives rise to an appearance of improprieties and raises the constitutional issue of fair hearing. What that is saying is this. Once a lawsuit is filed, either in a criminal or a civil case, the judge is the 13th juror, where there is a 12th jury. The third is the most powerful of the 13 of the people that are going to decide that case. He can decide to, he rules against the admissibility of evidence. He decides whether to even set aside the verdict of the jury. So the judge is a very powerful person in a court. And you don't really want to offend the judge, which is why we expect them to be above board. Now, Judge Glanville, he held a conference with a prosecutor and a major witness known as Kenneth Copeland. His street name is Lil Woody. Lil Woody or Kenneth Copeland is a convict. He has a felony record, and he's a star witness for the prosecution in Atlanta. He was reluctant to testify, but he changed his mind. After meeting with the prosecutor and Judge Glanville, in his chambers. And I want you to hold your breath. Lawyers for Young Thug were not present at the meeting in the chambers with the prosecutor and only the judge and the witness. And on that same day, when the witness changed his mind, he went ahead to testify, even though he had said before he was not going to testify. Judge Glanville said, look, under text, Georgia law, I have the right to hold such a meeting. What I was trying to do was more of administrative rather than any substantial judicial function. That is, I'm trying to get a witness that has been scheduled to testify to see what is stopping him from presenting his testimony in court. I didn't do anything wrong. But the judge that decided that he should remove himself said, look, you are right, what you said you did. We are not quarreling with that meeting that you had with only you and the prosecutor. We are not saying what you did was wrong. But you became argumentative. You were threatening and went so far as to hold the lawyers for Young Thug in contempt. There has to be an appearance of impartiality by a judge. It is that confidence that the judge is impartial is rooted in our system of justice. And where a judge held a meeting separately without the other side present, and we had no way of knowing what happened in that meeting, and we raised it before the judge, it became threatening, held us in contempt, then we have problem. Because of the appearance of impropriety, even if nothing happened, the judge ruled that Judge Glanville had to be removed. Then the question people ask me is this: will Young Thug beat the rap? I don't know. So far, I have not looked at the transcripts to see what evidence leads him directly to the violence that were committed. But what I can say is that the case has been prolonged. And in criminal case, just like any other case, if you've taken so long on trial, mistakes are bound to be made. Witnesses might disappear, or witnesses that have previously showed intention to be cooperative might develop a cold feet. And that's exactly what is happening with Lil Woody, Kenneth Copeland. The longer a case takes, the more likely mistakes are made. The chances are high that an appeal court may find a reason to set aside any conviction of Young Thug. In the alternative, the mistakes that have been made may be declared a reason for a mistrial. Fannie Willis, the DA, does not want that. She wants him to be convicted and removed from the streets, and hopefully lower the temperature for high violence in the black community. But if a mistrial is declared, Young Thug will have a second bite of the apple, even if they want to prosecute him again. So I am of the opinion right now that If the case takes longer, most likely mistakes are made, and the chances are that an appeal court may find a reason to set aside a conviction of Young Thug, most especially as relates to the testimony of Kenneth Copeland. I do not know what will eventually happen, whether the jury will rely heavily on the testimony of Kenneth Copeland to convict Young Thug. If that happens, the jury might, the appeal court may feel, look, this guy does not want to testify. You held this ex parte meeting, a one-sided meeting, and he changed his mind. The defense was not part of that meeting. Why did he change his mind? Why was a guy who was reluctant to testify now change his mind? Did you offer him any incentive? As far as the defense is concerned, they might say, did you offer him a bribe? We want to know what the bribe is. What was the incentive that he has to be able to testify against Young Thug? We may never know that. So let us keep our fingers crossed. The saga continues. I want you to subscribe. I want you to share. And I want you to suggest any topic that you want us to cover. Thank you for watching Salulaw channel.